Thanks. Technology. Okay, awesome. So I'm Jaime Black. I'm here on the Silverlake Priestess Podcast live with Priestess Graell. So excited to be here with you. So excited. As you all know, we have our Red Tent Priestess activation coming up in December, and Graell is going to be one of the priestesses leading, teaching, facilitating, and sharing her magic and her wisdom with us. And so I am so happy to bring her here to have this live interview with all of you. So Graell, welcome.
Thank you, beautiful Jaime. I'm so excited. Very soon we will be hugging each other in person. And yeah, it's been too long. I'm so honored to come to LA and share this medicine and magic that has been moving through me for many years. Sacredness of the womb, the holiness of the blood, and connection with sisters, like in an entirely new way. The rawness and the richness that comes from the Red Tent activations is really something that I haven't experienced in any other sister circles. So yes, absolutely looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be so epic. So just so I can share with everyone, I met Graell this summer at a Red Tent Priestess activation in Ashland, Oregon. And Graell was there as well as Priestess Laura Carmody. And it was extremely activating to me. It was the first time I'd ever been with other women identifying as priestess. And just you specifically, your energy is just so full of so much enthusiasm and so much joy. And yet you live this path very seriously. You live the mystery and you've had so much life experience already participating in this. But for me, it was just really like, it really just called me out. It was no longer this just idea of who I'd been in my past life or this way that I connect with myself really deeply and privately, but you are really living this practice and this path in your life and you share with other people. And so I just became so activated by you and by the entire experience that I felt very called to bring a Red Tent Priestess activation to Los Angeles. And so I want to ask you some questions just to share with our audience. I've been sharing so much about what the term priestess means to me and what it is and what it isn't. And I would just love to hear a definition from you. What is priestess to you?
Okay. Specifically, a priestess for me is a woman who officiates in all the sacred rites of passage, you know, and over the years and where I am in my revolutions around the sun, I'm 53 right now, and the sacred rites of passage that have come directly through me to be able to really teach in an authentic way and to be a divine example of and to inspire globally the family of women that I work with is directly related to how do you bring the sacred to childbirth, first blood, divine union, marriage, parenting, divorce, sovereignty, death, and rebirth. These 9 major thresholds are what a priestess is always called to. So these, like, you know, many different job descriptions come into that, of course. You know, we have like midwife, we have counselor, we have death doula, we have wedding officiant, we have, you know, like all of these, sex therapist, we have this, we have that, we have tantrika, we have like all these different things, right? But even me, I'm a trained midwife assistant. But now when I go to birth, I'm actually requested to be there to bring the sacred in an entirely different way, to priestess the childbirth, to priestess the marriage, to priestess the death, etc., on all those thresholds that I named. And how can I do that? Walking the path of sacred living as myself, as what I personally live. Again, this is not like a dress up and play priestess game. You know, this is not like, oh, I'm here to only, you know, like, yes, ritual theater is actually a huge part of the experience of living as priestess, but it's not just like the one aspect, right? Like it is an all-inclusive, living, breathing, totally committed and devotional path. You know, I am a, you know, my path of priestess is a dedicated path. I know that I was born to do this work. And so having that clarity and depth of understanding of that this is what I am born to do. This is not like something that I'm just trying on or that's super trendy right now, like amazing that you can go to like mainstream stores and get a shirt now that says goddess across the front, right? You know, that even, you know, like how so much of this has become like very trendy, like actually like, no, this is definitely very serious work, very, very serious work, like huge, getting involved in the intimacy of people's lives, like so deep, and knowing that you have the opportunity to transmute and transform dramatically people's lives in a happy, healthy, and holy way is yeah, a huge responsibility. Huge.
I agree. Tell us a little bit about you finding that path. Tell us just a little bit about your journey into realizing that that is who you are and that is how you're here to serve.
Yeah. Well, I often tell people my first priestess training is from an Italian restaurant on Long Island in the town of Syosset, where I was raised, you know, in the, like, helping my grandmother at an Italian restaurant. And that was just like my first experience of what, like, service, like absolute service. Like, what is it to, like, bring food to the people? You know, and what I do with that. How do I give in that way? How do I sparkle with whatever I'm like handing over to bring nourishment? And that's, you know, of course, like, you know, like there's the esoteric version of that and the pure physical version of that, but they both meet at the same place in like where I felt so confident in my first love language, which is service, right? Which is like, I feel most love when I receive divine service, and I feel that I give the most love by service. And then, of course, as a priestess, how do we keep that in balance? That's a whole other story. But I definitely, you know, that was a beginning point for me. And then as a dancer, I've danced since I was 3. And the absolute connection that I could feel with spirit, with my heart through the dance, and the joy that the dance brought others. And then, you know, as I continued on my spiritual path, you know, my first like major spiritual remembrance was even when I was like 7 years old making my Holy Communion. I was raised Catholic, you know, and walking down that aisle in my gown and my flower wreath on my head and going to the altar and partaking in this ceremony. I was so completely at home in that and wanting more. I was, you know, on my knees, lighting candles to Mary. I was, my confirmation name for when I was, you know, making my confirmation was Bernadette, because I was so connected to Saint Bernadette, who Mother Mary appeared to in the grotto in Lourdes, France, you know, and these, like, this way of devotion, doing the rosary. I was so into it, you know, and I recall also as a child, we would visit Sister Margaret Mary, who was a cloistered nun in a convent. And I was so moved by that. Her life was devoted to praying for the world every single day. It's like, that's just, and she never went outside the walls of that convent. And so now, you know, of course, as my spirituality and my memories started to become more and more enhanced, it was like, of course, all those lifetimes that I was a priestess in Druid colleges, or I was part of, you know, when I was a nun in the past, or, you know, any of those orders of beings, the Essenes, you know, those orders of beings that were like just so devoted to their prayer, was something that was just so alive in me. And my parents also, you know, I come from a very strong spiritual background of devotion, that we always prayed over our food, that my parents always had circles in our home, working with couples, and they also had like a teen group when I was a teenager and younger, that they were working, you know, like helping teenagers find spirituality, and connection, you know, deep connection with their heart and with God. For me, you know, the divine feminine, I just really resonate with. I just always was, like I said, on my knees at Mary, you know, another aspect of the goddess, of course. And then, you know, as I continued my path, you know, I had extraterrestrial experiences. I was very strong on the red path for quite some time when I was in Southern California. And then, of course, my relationship with Avalon, which I know, Jaime, you too have a really strong relationship with Avalon, because we were both really blessed with being barefoot on the land of Glastonbury, England.
I'm so excited to link up with you in Avalon the next time that we both are over there next year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you teach at the Goddess Conference?
I do annually. I've been very blessed to be invited to teach, to priestess, and to perform at the Goddess Conference of Glastonbury, England. That happens every year at the end of July. And I will again be teaching and priestessing and performing, and also bringing a group globally. I'm already like collecting anybody who wants to come and have a magical adventure with me in Avalon. I love to have a good week before the conference to work with a sweet, intimate group of people. My preference is 9. To come with me. It's a doable number. You know, I'm not so much into herding cats because I know what it is to have large groups, and I love it. And I also like really love a really sweet and tight container, and to go really deep to experience the goddess in the landscape before the conference. And then we also celebrate Lammas as well with the Glastonbury Goddess Temple, which is a really beautiful opportunity to do as well. And because I've been so close with the family over there for almost over 12 years, it's really sweet how I can invite my group in to assist as well in leading and co-creating that Lammas ceremony. So Jaime, just keep that in mind when you're there. If you want to be in a part of our ceremony, that would be fantastic. And then go into the Goddess Conference, which is really an incredible way for men and women and children to gather globally, to come into one spot on the Isle of Avalon. It's so incredible. And every year there's a different theme, and, you know, just all these teachers and really deep ceremonies to work through together, and very inclusive. Really, really, I've had only positive experiences every year. And I do feel so deeply honored to be so strongly welcomed into the family there, and feel so comfortable, because I know that you've shared with me as well, Jaime, that yeah, Avalon's home. There's certain priestesses that resonate with the Holy Isle, and there's just no comparison. There's just, I can go any time of the year and I'm home.
And I've been there through all different times of year. So powerful, the place. When I first, I read The Mist of Avalon when I was younger, and that was probably, that was the first initiation for me. It was an awakening, but it was just a story. And at one point I realized I could go there. And so when I was making my way from London and I got on a bus, and of course it's the most beautiful bus ride that you've ever been on in your life. It looks like a movie, but when I stepped off of the bus onto the aisle, I started crying. It was just in my chest. It was just like pulling at me. And so I'm definitely wanting to bring some sisters out there as well. Just, there's so many of us that are remembering. There's so many of us and there's different stages of remembering, right? But there's so many of us that have passed in doing priestess work, and we're remembering. And of course that we've lived in different temples and served different communities. But all of us are remembering all over. And so the Goddess Conference is also just an incredible place for so many women all over the world that are awakening and remembering. And that's the experience, though, that I had. So I would love for you to talk to us about your goddess temples. I haven't been to the one in Shasta, but I have been to the one in Ashland, Oregon. And that has been my experience as well, is that it is a place where women all around that are waking up to the priestess path or the priestess call without even necessarily knowing that's what's going on. Maybe they just find like a retreat or a discussion that's being offered there, and then they just show up. It's an incredible meeting place, and we are all activating each other. So sometimes you just show up and then there's all these sisters and you're like, wow, I feel like I know all of you. So I would love for you to tell us about creating a goddess temple.
Okay, yeah. First of all, for clarification, I held the Avishai Goddess Temple, bridging Avalon and Shasta in Mount Shasta for 9 years. And it actually went to rest. It's no longer in the physical, but of course, I definitely go back to Shasta and offer programs and tours and connect in there. Also, my beautiful sister, Yeshua Matthews, is holding the Goddess Temple of Mount Shasta now. So you can check her out there on a more regular basis. And I, 8 years ago, moved to Ashland, Oregon to open the Goddess Temple of Ashland. And I am the founder and the director right now, but I also had many midwives support me, 19 total at the very beginning. And my beautiful co-director, Jumana Sophia, for years. She's no longer my co-director. She's holding her mystery school. And now I've been so blessed with Laura Carmody, who stepped in when Jumana went in a different direction. And the 19 women who came forth, it was really clear, of course, in all my work, Jaime, I just simply listen, and like many of us on this path, like you're nudged. It comes in the dream time. It comes in the meditation. It comes in, your morning practice, or when you're driving and randomly you're like, oh my God, I have to do this. And if I don't do it, it will be like really painful. So I just better do it. And so, 8 years ago, it came through so strong with a series of events that were totally directed by my daughter. I have an amazing, beautiful, she just turned 23 this weekend. Incredible daughter who is also like completely raised in the goddess, and she like the tradition of she, and she just was like so clear, like that she was complete with Mount Shasta, and that she was either going to France or to Ashland. And whoa, like lots and lots of stories there that I'd love to share with anybody at another time, how like we fully got to Ashland, but it happened. And we were gifted. The Jackson Well Springs is an incredible place that is warm mineral springs. loads of springs in Ashland, all over Ashland, but specifically at the Jackson Well Springs. It's an event center and a retreat center and ongoing class center and swimming pool and sauna and steam room and jacuzzi, like this whole place, right? And then they have they're on over 30 acres. And I came and said to the owner, I come to you with this experience and this vision. This is what's real for me. Can it be here? And he literally said, we've been praying for the goddess. Where do you want your temple? Could you imagine the red carpet, rolling out like that so clearly? I was like, okay. We walked the land, and it was actually my beautiful sister, Ruth who holds, she is our main priestess temple decorator amongst a million other incredible things. She's an incredible mom, an ODC, dance instructor, and more. And she was the one who chose our space in the back meadow. And I was a little bit, honestly, oh my gosh, a lot of work was needed, because that was an area of the property that was not a lot of attention was given to. And so to be able to call forth community and these 19 priestesses that came forward at the beginning of this whole adventure, and just the amount of seva, selfless service, over the last 8 years is huge, absolutely huge. And so now what we have is this beautiful sanctuary that has a geodesic dome gifted to us from Asha Deliverance of Pacific Domes, amazing. We have a red tent and a moon lodge gifted to us from Peter Belt of Red Sky Shelters in Asheville, North Carolina. We have gardens. We have a big, beautiful stage. We have a ceremonial immersion pool, a proper mikvah. Totally, all just loads of work, and so beyond worth it, so incredibly worth it to have a place that people could come and play and pray as thou will. That the door of the dome opens in the morning and it closes at night. And you are welcome to come and do it the way that you pray, the way that you play, the way people come and they play music, people come and they sleep, people come and read books, people come and have picnics with their children, people come and do first blood initiations for their teenagers for the first moon time, people come and have weddings, people come and have meetings, business meetings. I mean, it's incredible. It is a community activation center, the whole Wellsprings, but specific in the back meadow for those people who really attune to the energies of the goddess, who really understand also the devotion to the elements. We're an elemental temple. We blossom at spring and we rest after Samhain. We listen to the land. We listen to the Deva realm. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening seasonally? And so that's another really wonderful model that I highly suggest. I wrote a book, Raising a Goddess Temple, that Jumana and my former husband, Tony Corsini, also added to give it a little extra spark. And with gorgeous graphic design by Shelley Sagehart, who wait till you see how she brings each page so alive. Actually, I just made a mistake. It is Davin Infinity who did the graphic design for my Raising a Goddess Temple, and it's Shelley who did the graphic design for all my other guidebooks. But both of them are by far my favorite, and that's why I chose both of them, because they really understand my sense of beauty. Like they really understand how to communicate through the graphic design, like what I'm trying to say, so that you could like literally just like flip through and be amplified by the gorgeous artwork on every page. And just like, and yeah, sure, like use the resources of my words too on top of it, but like really, it's just, I feel like it's a collage of expression of how easy it is to raise a goddess temple, you know, like, and I've been helping Tempio della Grandea in Rome, Italy. Oh my gosh, Maya Vassallo and her beautiful husband Diego have like this another like gorgeous temple in Rome, Italy, right? Like Rome, Italy. Yeah. The first goddess temple, you know, that's recognized in over 2,000 years. The same thing, you know, with the goddess temple in Glastonbury. Like it's been like over 2,000 years that we have been able to raise goddess temples and then be attended and then be loved and adored and safe places to come and pray. It's really beautiful.
That is really beautiful. That's just, you know, it's just a comment on the repression for so long. So another thing that is coming up again are the red tents. So yeah. Menstrual huts, the red tent experience, and I'm gonna have you speak on that in just a moment. But yes, the Moon Lodge. Yes, for sharing about the blood mysteries and the wisdom of our wombs and connecting with each other as women. But that I feel like, well, it all goes together, but that's the biggest part of it is women connecting with each other as women. We've been separated from each other in ways for so long. So that is also why we are having a red tent priestess activation, because we're also going to experience the red tent and sharing with each other in the red tent. So you've had so many years of offering moon lodges and red tents. Tell us, what is a red tent?
Yes, well, I was raised in New York, right? Being raised in New York in the 70s and 80s, there was no connection to my womb or my blood or to sisters, like at all. I always hung out with the guys. The girls were always jealous of me. When I got my period, I was pissed. You know, I was like, I'm a dancer. How am I going to be able to do this? You know, like my mother had hemorrhaged when she was very young with her moon time and had really challenging moons my whole childhood. So all I could imagine, and also like raised in that consciousness that like, oh, if that happens to your mother, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. You know, thank the goddess, I've removed myself out of that consciousness and know that I'm actually like sovereign in my own being, and I don't have to take on my mother's story or anybody else's story for that matter. But at that time where I was, you know, like, it was like, oh, you know, how, all of it, you know, and it was literally not until I was in my 20s and I was close friends with a priest of Isis who introduced me to the idea that my blood was sacred, that there were ways to catch my blood and feed it to nature as an offering back for the beauty and grace that I could bleed 3 to 5 days and not die, right? That I could have this gift of fertility, that I could have this gift of shedding and reclaiming every month, that I could go through a full cycle of the whole wheel of birth, all the way to death, all the way to rebirth. Again, every month was this like shocking experience and then when I began to share this with other women on Grateful Dead tour, at rainbow gatherings, at sister circles, that they weren't even called sister circles then, we were just like gathering, you know, and then it would turn into like getting deep about like how sacred our womb is, that it was just like, whoa, I need to just start bringing this more and more and more. And I was finding in the places that I was living at that time that there was a bit of resistance, you know, and I was finding that me working with teenagers, especially as a dance instructor, that this was a wonderful way, you know, to start at an early place, helping these young women know how holy their body as temple, that whole concept, like, is still rather new as well globally, right? And so I also really want to honor Aurora Thaytera, who brought our red tent to, like, Laura specifically trained with Aurora Thaytera, and she is a spirit daughter of mine. And I had the bliss of, after all the years of me leading, you know, moon lodges in my way, taking her our red tent training at our goddess temple where she offered it when she was in Ashland. And she really brought also to the whole Facebook family and YouTube, you know, she was like doing these really outrageous videos of like total raw, like blood painted face and doing blood art and, you know, really going for it. She had a tremendous amount of bravery and courage on this path, and then also did a tour that awakened many to this training that I really, really respect and hold her very dear to my heart. Where what happened for me is, after years of holding the blood, then when I became a mom, then I got very involved in being a midwife assistant, doula, you know, teaching childbirth education, teaching conscious parenting, you know, I kind of went that route. And then, you know, and again, this brings us back to all the thresholds as priestess, being able to bring the sacred and facilitate and officiate those sacred rites of passage. So, you know, you'll find this as you grow yourself. Okay, many of us as priestesses might choose not to have children. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to parent, you know, like conscious parenting comes, you know, like from that place within you of like conscious communication, you know, there's like basically conscious communication. I feel a deep concern, Jaime, regarding our alternative culture, because we have, you know, a lot with the new age culture as well, where we have a lot of mamas who can emasculate their young boys by where the boys just wanting to be boys, you know, and having this like testosterone energy, this what we call masculine. You know, I am careful because we have so much gender fluidity in our world right now, you know, but there's like this place of where like I see a lot of young boys like wanting to be in that like warrior aspect and wanting to be a little bit rough, and then these moms, these super spiritual moms, you know, just being like, oh no, calm down, no, you can't do that, da, 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 you know, and just like, okay, where is the energy getting to be expressed? And then, okay, like putting them in front of TVs and computers and doing all the gaming and all of that, you know, like where like I'm at a place of just going like, okay, like how can we create these sanctuaries for the young girls to come and understand the sacredness of their womb, and the young boys to come and understand the sacredness of their lingam, you know, of their wand. We have like, okay, teaching the girls their womb as temple, and teaching the boys their lingam as sacred wand, you know, and how do you wield that wand, you know? And for the young girls, like, okay, what are you allowing to sit at the inner sanctum, the altar, the inner sanctum of your womb temple, right? And then this all appears, it all like comes out in kind of crazy ways during our moon time, and our like, how are we experiencing our moon time? How are we treating our moon time? What's going on hormonally with us? And then of course, then it moves into sex, right? You know, and when we gather in red tent, questions like these are addressed and shared collectively, because we're all teachers there. You know, yes, there's the group of us that are the facilitators, but we're holding the container, right? We're creating the safety for the discovery and the peeling back, the layers. What happens with our moon time, right? Layers of our uterus, our layers are shedding. Like, so what is shedding emotionally? What no longer serves? Every month we get to go into what no longer serves, and what are we ready to claim? What can we compost? What can we offer to the dragon lines of the earth, right? What can we like feed in, just like composting for our garden? What grows the best gardens is the darkest, funkiest, compost, you know? And so like, what can we give away, and what can we stand strong in? We like to have our gatherings at new moons, right? But what do we do at the new moon? We start fresh. It's a new beginning, you know?
Yeah. Clean slate. I love the new moons for that. Okay, so I have, let's see, we have a few more minutes here. And so I would like to tell everybody where to find you. And then there is an incredible program that you're going to be teaching in Guatemala next year, which is on priestessing the 9 veils. And I would love for you to share with us about that, about how we can find you, and how,
okay.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so you can simply find me either by visiting the Goddess Temple of Ashland in person from April 15th till November 3rd, or you can go to my website, Priestess Graell, and you spell my name Graell.com. You also can find me on Facebook, and as well, I have some pages on Facebook other than my personal one. I have Priestess Graell and Priestesses and Knights of the Goddess, and also Graell classes. We also have the Goddess, it's goddesstemple.ashland.com. And let's see, I think that's enough ways. I do apologize if I don't get back to you right away. My goddess, you would not believe how many messages I get a day. So please forgive me on that. But you can definitely see what I'm doing for sure, and register with me through and purchase my guidebooks. You know, like I have a store and a shop on my website, priestessgraell.com. And this March, the whole month of March, 22-day training, I and Laura feel very strongly about primal priestessing. And we chose a beautiful space called Shikana Atitlan that is on the Lake Atitlan, Lago Atitlan in Guatemala in Central America. And we feel really pleased. I have been there before, and I'm so excited to return back home again. Another super, super sweet space. If you connect with the Arcturians, I highly recommend that you visit Lago Avalon. And what will be happening there is we will be specifically working on midwifing the veils of the 9 thresholds that I already shared about, those powerful thresholds. And as a priestess, really getting a start on what it is to priestess those 9 thresholds. This is a bit of an intro, because if you know anything about those 9 thresholds, there's years and years of study that you can do for every one of them. And so, yeah. And we also are working on beginning a Priestess College at the Goddess Temple of Ashland in Oregon. And so this is a really great way to start with your Priestess College. Like, start first with my guidebooks that I have online and that are ridiculously affordable. And you can check that all out on my page. And on top of that, that's a really good baseline to know about how to work with me and what I love to share. And then doing the midwifing the veils in Guatemala, and then wanting to continue on with Priestess College would be a wonderful way to spend your next 3 years. If you're looking for something to dedicate to for the next 3 years. But yeah, we're chop wood, carry water priestesses. We like to be barefoot. We like to paint with our blood. We like to be at the fire. We like to sing. We like to drum. We like to be really raw. We like to be authentic. We like to be like full on, radically honest. And we also like to just like love. Like we really, really, really love to love. And I don't know how else to explain that other than we come from such a pure place in our hearts that like we want to help you birth your authentic self. You know, that's what we care about. That's what we really, really care about is meeting you at your heart, bridged with your womb. And as a woman with a womb, when I experience that kind of pure connection with a sister, there's nothing else I really want to be doing. And to be able to do that for 22 days on a holy lake.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, there's like, yeah, welcome to the life of Priestess.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming to that. So Graell will be here in December at the Red Tent Priestess activation on the new moon of December 7th and December 8th and December 9th. We will be having juicy transmissions from her every day, and we'll all get to be in circle together, and she'll be bringing her magic here. And thank you so much, Graell, and thank you so much for being you and for the work that you're doing. You're such an inspiration. Love you so much.
I love you, Jaime. Thank you for being open to what I have to share. Thank you for creating and doing all the technology that it took to bring this to the people out there. And I am super honored and really respect you for the bravery that you have to become a Red Tent facilitator, for you to bring it to Los Angeles in the way that you're bringing it, and how beautifully organized the event is that we're moving into. That is just going to be exactly what we all need.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Graell. And thank you to everyone watching. I'm just going to go over here to the Facebook page. Okay. Okay, we're all good. So blessed be everyone. Thank you for listening, and thank you again so much, Graell. Love you so much, and I will see you soon.